Good morning, grappling fans, and welcome to the very first episode of Who's Number One, the official rankings, news, analysis, and preview show from FloGrappling. It's myself, Chase Smith, and Michael Sears joining me here today. Morning, Michael. And welcome to our first endeavor. It's going to be a lot of fun. The rankings have been really popping out for us. We've developed a ton of different rankings. We have black belt rankings, no-gi rankings, MMA rankings, all the belt levels, and you guys have questions. So we're going to kind of dive into some of that and how it all works out. Each week we'll talk about recent happenings, recent results, big names, big winners, big losers, and how that affects those changes.
Yeah, I think first off, shout out to Damian Maya, representing Jiu-Jitsu out there. Big win over Ben Askren. Jiu-Jitsu looked great. What do you think about that one, Chase?
Oh, man, it was a big day for Jiu-Jitsu, right? An epic moment when Damian was sitting on top of the cage just screaming, Jiu-Jitsu, Jiu-Jitsu. Definitely ignited some of the wrestling versus Jiu-Jitsu rivalry, I think.
Yeah, it's always good for somebody to go out there and represent like that because we get a lot of hate in the MMA community, it seems like. I always see people knocking Jiu-Jitsu. Also, big news, Ashton Kutcher, brown belt.
Oh, that's right. Got to add him to the brown belt rankings, maybe. Celebrity rankings. We don't have those yet.
Yeah, celebrity pound-for-pound rankings. Ashton Kutcher's in there. And also, big news, you got a mustache now.
It's true. I had to. When I was told I would be the host of the show, I need a broadcasting mustache. So, the CCO of our company, the chief creative officer, said we look like serial killers, but I think that's unfair. I think we look marvelous.
Very Anchorman like Ron Burgundy.
Anyways, let's talk criteria a little bit. Let's talk a little bit general on how the rankings work, why we rank certain people the way we do, and then we'll talk about some specific changes in the sport. What is the number one thing that we look at when we're talking rankings?
I think the number one thing, it's results at major tournaments, right? You go out there, you win Worlds in the gi, you win ADCC no gi, and then there's other tournaments that go after that. And both those, you got to show up at those tournaments, right? You can go out and win a million smaller tournaments. It doesn't combine to doing good at those tournaments.
Now, that's not just because the medal is nicer, right? It's the level of competition, I assume, and the size of the brackets. But head-to-head victories are another key factor that we look at.
Yeah, head-to-heads are, it's sort of like a tiebreaker if you're close with someone because these guys all fight each other so much that it just runs around in a circle. Like a lot of times when people message me saying, oh, I beat this guy, I should be ranked higher, but it's like, oh, who you've lost to? And then they say who they've lost to, and okay, well, you've lost to two people that he's beat. So then it just, if it's all just about you beat this guy, then yeah, it just goes in a circle with everybody's beat each other basically or lost to somebody.
Yeah, it is a constant cycle out there, but there are a few guys that consistently win, and that's why they go to the top.
And something I should point out too that a lot of people don't understand is it's got to be recent. Like if you won Worlds 5 years ago, it doesn't count as much as winning the Worlds this year or winning Pans this year. So. Yeah, recent results.
I do believe we have a calendar year policy here. The last time No-Gi Worlds went around is still counted basically. So 2018 No-Gi Worlds is still a relevant result. But then in 2020, the 2018 No-Gi Worlds result will be greatly reduced. It won't be as big
it's reduced.
Deal.
Well, I think the year window falls more for like you get taken out completely if you haven't competed in a year. But I mean, I think it just the further away it goes down. But I mean, you still like when you talk about Buchecha, yeah, he's a 13-timer, so you still consider that in the rankings, I think. But yeah, if you haven't competed in gi or no gi in the last year, you're not eligible. So
pretty straightforward stuff there. By the way, before we get ahead of ourselves, if you've been watching FloWrestling for a while, you would know that Who's Number One is also an event that they hold where they pit the top-ranked high school wrestlers against one another in super fights to figure out who's number one. Have number 4 and number 5 against one another. They might not reach number one technically, but they find out who the best out of those two guys are. We're going to do the same thing. This is big news. So in 2020, we don't have a set date yet, and we're still building it out exactly, but we're going to put together some of the top prospects, color belts in our sports, and get some really cool fire matchups going.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's just like how FloWrestling does with the high school kids. It's going to be something to showcase the youth, showcase the up-and-comers, take the best 1 versus 2 matchups that we got, put them against each other, have a super fight event, get some big name black belts to top it off, and yeah, it's going to be great. Sometime early 2020 during the gi season.
Very nice. Yeah, that was where Nicky Rod took on Pat Downey in a super fight, so we will try and emulate that slightly, have our own epic super fights going as well. So stay tuned. We're looking for early 2020, but more details will be forthcoming, and you'll hear about them probably each week on the show as we figure out how that thing is going to look exactly. But we've talked a little bit about the general here. Let's move along to some specific movement. So biggest movers. Let's talk about the biggest changes in the rankings. Michael, what went down recently, and what's the biggest news, I think, for rankings?
BJ Stars. Marigali killed everybody. He showed up and just smoked everybody. Now, I mean, we moved him up to pound for pound number one. We'll get into that more later, but basic recap of his results. He beat Victor Hugo 6-2. It was Victor Hugo had 3 stalling penalties, so he got 2 for that. And then, I mean, beat up Hulk, mounted Hulk, beat him 9-0, and then tapped Bergigna pretty easily. And Hulk and Bergigna are both high-ranked pound for pound, high-ranked in their weight class. Those were big W's for him. Also in that bracket, Bergigna beat Lo. Beat Leandro Lo in the semis. Hulk mounted and tapped Hudson. There was a lot of crazy jiu-jitsu in there. And, so Marigali moving up, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, BJ Stars was a badass event this time around. And the consequences of Marigali moving up to number one means the current king of jiu-jitsu went to number 2. I'm talking about Marcus Buchecha Almeida. First time ever since we've had rankings where he dropped a spot. And there was definitely, I wouldn't say a lot of controversy surrounding that, but there was some feedback we received after Buchecha left the number 1 spot. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, there were some mad people, but I mean, I when I was putting it out, I wrote an article to go along with it just because I knew there was going to be backlash, but a lot more people agreed with me than I thought. I think the majority of the comments, it seemed like, agreed with the decision, which is the first time Buchecha wasn't number 1 pound for pound in the gi, so it was a big move, but I mean, you got to stay active. I mean, Nicholas has been way more active this year.
Absolutely. And another consequence from BJJ Stars was that Leandro Lo, for the very first time, dropped off the top 10. He went from 7 ranked to number 12.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like the same problems he had earlier this year in the gi season. His cardio didn't look, where it needed to be. He was gassing. Even the match he won, he got a couple quick advantages, and then sort of looked like he was breathing hard for the last 7 minutes. And then he went out there against Bergigna, lost. He lost. They actually used last score criteria. It was technically tied. Would have been a ref's decision, IBJJF, but Bergigna had the last score, so he won that match. So, yeah, I mean, Bergigna moved up there, and then Lo went down.
Right, and of course, we can talk head-to-head as well. Bergigna lost to Leandro Lo at Pans, I believe, early this year, so he kind of avenged that loss with this recent win, which also helps the movement there.
1-1 against each other, but yeah, Bergigna won the more recent one, so yeah, he goes up.
Exactly, and of course, we'll get into this a little bit later in the show maybe, but there are, of course, the season never ends, and these guys are competing again at Spider in a crazy bracket, which will have very big implications for the rankings. We have people like Marigali, Leandro Lo, Rodolfo Vieira could enter the rankings as he's in Spider. Kainen's in there.
Yeah, everybody's
So the rankings never stop, and that's been something that's been really fun since Michael's come on recently over the summer, is that we've been able to keep the rankings moving at a much higher rate.
Yeah, we got, I think, like 80-something different divisions ranked now. A bunch of belts,
insane.
A bunch of male, female, blue, purple, brown, black. So yeah, a lot of stuff to check out.
There are also some women's rankings movement from BJJ Stars. Bianca Basilio jumps into the top 10 after submitting Anna Carolina Schmidt. Is that correct?
Yeah, another footlock. She footlocked another elite competitor. If you remember, Schmidt beat Basilio in the world's final.
And she's current world champion.
Basilio took out probably the number 1 seed Fionn with the footlock at Worlds, and then lost to Schmidt in a close one at Worlds. But, went belly down and footlocked her pretty easy here. I mean, Basilio is basically footlocking everybody at featherweight. Footlocks or toe holds on all the big names at this point.
Man, she is so good. I wouldn't have really noticed it before ADCC, but she had an amazing, really modern footlock game. She was doing all the stuff that the Death Squad guys were doing. I was really, really blown away by her familiarity and comfort in that position.
Yeah, and her straight footlock, it's like she doesn't just get the tap. Like, girls are limping off the mat, getting carried off the mat. Like, she did a nasty one to Louisa at the World Pro 2 years ago. She did a nasty one to Fionn at Worlds, and now Anna Carolina Schmidt. Like, yeah, she's
Fionn again at ADCC as well.
Yeah, with a toe hold there. Yeah, she's messing girls' legs up for sure. And yeah, so Basilio takes over the number 1 spot at featherweight. Where'd she go pound for pound? She had to move up there too.
She jumps into number 10.
All right, cool.
And she's the number 1 at featherweight currently. So yeah, big movement from Bianca Basilio. I believe she's in at Queen of Maths. Is that true?
She's got some tough matches this weekend, so there's going to definitely be some movement there too.
So stay tuned for another event coming up this weekend. Is AJP is debuting for the first time ever the Queen of Maths, which is awesome. It's for the women's competitors, combined brown and black athletes, and it's going to be round robin. It's a lot of fun. It's like the elite top-ranked female athletes.
Yeah, I mean, just in her group, she's going to have number 1 at roosterweight, Maisa Bastos, and number 2 at light feather, Ana Rodriguez. So that's just in her round robin to advance to the single elimination phase. So
very cool. We'll talk about that a bit more detail later in the show. But some other rankings movement have transpired recently. We had Kynan defend his ADCC title, you could say, at Fight to Win. I think we have an asset here for that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Phil, if you want to run the tape of the Kynan and Nick Rodriguez.
So what happened here, Mike?
Kynan's in on a toe hold.
Kind of sort of inverted. Nick tried to dive on his back. Kynan went for a toe hold, and then something I don't remember seeing out of Kynan. He ends up hitting a heel hook.
Yeah, he really seemed to have a different game plan, at Fight to Win from ADCC. Obviously, the rules allow for that. With the pull guard right away. And seemed to know right where to go. That was like a 2.5-minute match. Never in any danger. Nick did look for the back. Nick's got amazing scramble ability. But Kynan seemed to have one-way traffic there.
Yeah, I think everybody felt going into that one that those rules favored Kynan more than ADCC rules did, because obviously Nick's wrestling helps him a lot at ADCC. But, you saw the difference in strategy. Kynan just sat right down, went after the leg lock game. And, there wasn't really any ranking movement at the weight class there, because those were already 1 and 2. So they just stay in the same place. But Kynan moved up pound for pound after that. So I think it's number 4 now.
There we go. And those, of course, are the Nogi rankings we're talking about there. But
Kynan is actually the only guy ranked top 5 pound for pound in gi and no gi, I believe.
Yeah, that's a key stat right there. Yeah. That's wild. As those different styles diverge further, that's a big topic in jiu-jitsu. But let's talk something that is very difficult for us here is submission-only fights. Those are hard to rank, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they get the sub like that, that's a case where it works easy, kind of clear victory. But a lot of times, especially in the gi, you're ranking these guys basically off of IBJJF and AJP events that are all the same rules. So then you throw in a submission-only ref's decision where it's sort of different criteria than what they're normally going after. And you can look at a match where in their normal tournaments they would have won, but they lost a split decision here, or nothing really happened, and it's just like a toss-up, split decision. So yeah, I think if there's no sub in a submission-only event, it's hard to move somebody up or down based off of that result.
Yeah, we'd love to actually hear from you guys out there. How would you rank submission-only performances? Sometimes there is, a very dominant match that doesn't end in submission.
Yeah,
that might be
like
easy.
JT Wagner's an example.
Exactly. Yeah, Fight to Win a couple months ago before ADCC. That you could somehow conceivably move the rankings that way, but when a close match, man, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on then, another recent result, we had Gabriel Souza come on strong at Nogi European Championships. I think that was 2 weekends ago with a win over Paul Miao.
Yeah, he actually beat Paulo in the quarterfinals, surprisingly.
That's a crazy matchup to happen that early in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think Gabriel does that much no-gi, so IBJJF probably didn't have him seated that high. We didn't even have him ranked in no-gi going into it. He's obviously super active in the gi, does so many AJP, does every AJP event. There's a bunch of IBJJF events in the gi, but yeah, big upset there over Paulo, who was third. He was ranked third going into that after his bronze medal at ADCC.
That's right.
Yeah, Gabriel jumped up pretty high there.
And then Taliesin Soares back on the competition scene. He's been living in Australia as he builds out his new academy. I think it's somewhere on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
One more reason to go down to Australia, man. They seem to have all the good jiu-jitsu these days. But he won the Pan-Pacific division.
Yeah, Pan-Pacific is in Australia. I mean, this was, I think, his second black belt tournament. He did the Moscow Grand Slam, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
But has been, ever since he opened his academy in Australia, he hasn't been as active as he used to be. Remember, purple, brown, black, he was competing every weekend.
It's a bit harder to do that when you're in Australia.
But he tore it up at that Pan-Pacific. He got 2 chokes from the back. One guy he was beating 16-0. Another guy he was beating 22-0. So great second tournament for him. Remember his first one, he lost to Bebeto at the Moscow Grand Slam.
That's right. That was his debut, and it was a super close match. Was it by advantage or like a sweep? It wasn't by much, right?
I think it was by an advantage. But going into 2020, Taliesin, I think, is one of the big questions for the gi season is where he's going to fit in, because you don't even know who's going to be at that weight class.
Right. Taliesin has had the benefit of having a lot of teammates in his brackets coming up through the colored ranks. And now it won't be quite as straightforward for him. Worlds, he might have someone like Mikey Musumeci, for example.
You never know if Mikey makes the cut again.
As far as making the weight, you mean?
Yeah, he pulled out at Pans, remember?
But he won a world, so.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. You don't know if he's going to go back to rooster weight or go to light feather.
It's true.
He had trouble making it at Pans, and also Bruno and Kyle. Who knows what's going to happen there? They might. I mean, we thought they were retired a year ago, but they came back. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Taliesin fits in there. He's got that loss to Bebeto, but, yeah, I think he climbs the rankings pretty quick.
Do we know if Taliesin plans on competing internationally as he builds out his academy down there in Australia? Or
he told me he's doing no-gi worlds, and then I think his next gi tournament is going to be Europeans.
Okay, so he'll be back on the circuit.
He's going for the Grand Slam in the gi next year.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I think we have one more clip here for the next thing we're talking about. We had a great submission at Fight to Win with Dante Leon versus Zaki Bahayens. That was a wild match, absolutely. Very quick.
Nice
Look
shot.
at this
Dante right on a
guillotine here.
And it's tight.
We both said, Mike, that we thought the ADCC camp from Dante's preparation would be a strong helping hand here, right?
Yeah, like Zaki trying to slam out of the guillotine there, didn't work. But yeah, Dante's been on a tear in no-gi. Yeah, he had the ADCC camp. I mean, if you just look at Dante's year in no-gi, he's 13-4. He beat Lucas Lepree, Izaki, John Satava. He choked Edwin Nazmi. He choked Mateus Lutz. I mean, he's had a great year in no-gi.
What did that do for the rankings, right? Because that's a submission-only match, so
you can't move Dante up there because if you look who he's behind, he's already number 4 after ADCC. I mean, obviously JT's 1, and then 2 and 3 are guys who already beat him recently, Wagner and Gary. So he stays in the same spot, but I mean, he's had a great year. He's a pretty firm number 4 there for sure.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for some of these guys looking for that number 1 spot. Who's number 1? When you claim a major title like ADCC, it kind of seals the deal for at least a little while, right?
A little while, yeah. You got a little leverage there. And, I mean, Izaki was looking great, too, the week before, remember? Mm-hmm. Izaki beat up on Felipe Cesar Silva, killed him a week before, and Felipe is a great competitor. Felipe made it to the No-Gi Pan's absolute final. And then for Dante to go out and get that quick guillotine is incredible. Another big submission for Dante there.
Yeah, I haven't seen the divisions yet for No-Gi Worlds, but that'd be great if we saw both those guys enter. I know Isaac's been teasing that he wants to go out there.
Izaki told me he's going to do it. I'd imagine Dante will. It seems like that's an event Dante always does, and I mean he's basically a no-gi guy at this point. I don't see why he wouldn't.
That's going to be, I believe, actually, no, that's not true. That's not the last major no-gi competition. We have a pretty crazy one coming up here with BJ Fanatics that we have to pay attention to coming up pretty soon.
Dante's going to be in there too.
That's right. So
yeah, it's 29 guys. It's going to be on FloGrappling. The big one, obviously, is Gordon Ryan, huge favorite. You got Hulk in there. You got Trator, 2 guys that Gordon beat at ADCC and are ranked 2nd and 3rd behind him at 99 kilograms. But Hulk, Trator, Kyle Bame. You got Keith Krikorian, Jonatas Gracie, who's one to keep an eye on. Dante Leon. I know I'm probably leaving some people out, but yeah, it's going to be a stacked submission-only event there coming up November 15th.
Is Kyle Beam in that? The guy who beat Dante recently?
He beat Dante recently, yep, and an event in Ohio, I believe. He's going to be in there, and yeah, a lot of names there. EBI rules. I mean, Gordon's obviously a heavy favorite, especially when you throw in the EBI rules. Like the king of EBI, but I mean, any rules right now, Gordon's the favorite. He double gold at ADCC, double gold at IBJJF. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to count Gordon out, and I think at this point the rules aren't what's carrying him to those victories. Let's talk about Gordon a little bit here. He's the current pound-for-pound no-gi number 1 ranked athlete over Andre Galvao. That caused a little controversy.
Yeah, I don't get why. I mean, if you just look at Gordon's resume recently, I mean, Andre's had 1 match basically. I think before the Pena match, his last was King of Mets in like 2018, right, which was a gi tournament. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Felipe Pena is obviously a big one. I bumped him up to number 2, basically off his legacy. I mean, he looked great against Progresa, but I mean, if you look at Gordon in the last year, double gold at No-Gi Worlds, double gold at ADCCs, won a few super fights. I mean, submitted 6 out of 8 people at ADCC. I don't think there's really any argument to put anybody above him in no-gi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't just try and echo what you say every time, Michael, but I got to agree with you. Gordon's work rate has been phenomenal this year, and he's been winning everything pretty much without any contest. Galvao, though, this is where we run into the problem of legacy and the value of a title, right? Like the ADCC super fight title is probably like maybe the biggest thing you can win in our sport right now.
Yeah, it's the biggest no-gi title you can get, but then you just got to look at like the competition, like Gordon beating Buchecha in the absolute final, beating Hulk in his weight. Like Gordon had more matches to get it done, and yeah, I think just more activity, and
yeah, I mean, I think those criteria make a lot of sense, and I do believe some of the confusion out there in the world is that We think Gordon Ryan may be the number one ranked GOAT athlete of all time.
Well,
or
people, they call it
throw
Flo
a period.
Gordon. And,
Flo Gordon.
But you got to look at the submissions. Gordon taps a bunch of people. I mean, I just think you say anything positive about Gordon, it's going to get hate online. He's got so many enemies in the Instagram comments that, I mean,
he loves his enemies.
Everyone knows he's the number one guy no-gi right now, but people just don't. They just can't take it.
But what I was getting to is that we're not ranking legacy here.
Yeah,
we're ranking
sure,
season, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one distinction that I really hope we drive home throughout the ongoing of the show is that these are real time results. These are attached to something in the world happening today. They're not just ranking a lifetime achievement. So I think Andre's super fight win definitely puts him in the conversation of top two, but it's not, one win isn't enough to claim the number one spot.
I'm hoping to see more out of Galvao. I mean, hopefully.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, he looked great there. He did not look like somebody who needs to be retired. He looked unstoppable against Felipe Pena. I think, you go out, put him out there in the weight class, I think he's going to be contender for that absolute title if he was out there. I think he could. The way he looked there, I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have beat Buchecha, if he would have beat any of these other guys out there.
Let's talk a little bit more about the top 10 of these pound-for-pound thing. We can run through them real quick here. I think it will give the viewers out there some insight on how we rank everyone. So we have, of course, Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao, 1 and 2. But then we have JT Torres at number 3. 77-kilogram athlete, right? Didn't do the absolute, and yet he's very high in the pound-for-pound.
Well, that's something a lot of people don't understand. For some reason in jiu-jitsu, people think pound-for-pound equals absolute champion all the time or absolute success. No, I mean, are we going to count out a guy like Mikey Musumeci from the gi pound-for-pound rankings because he doesn't do the absolute? No, it's not about winning the absolute. Winning the absolute does not automatically make you the pound-for-pound best. And then you look at JT, I mean, technique-wise, I think he was maybe the most technical competitor at ADCC. Didn't get a point scored on him.
Yeah, unscored on.
Beat some really good competitors there. Beat Wagner pretty handily before it. I mean, and then you throw in his legacy a little bit just to boost him there. And, I mean, I think just coming off of ADCC, I think there's even an argument potentially to put JT at number 2. But, yeah, number 3 is a good spot for him, I believe. Yeah,
and this goes back to what we were saying earlier in the show about the quality of the bracket. We were calling the 77-kilogram division ahead of ADCC, the group of death, the bracket of death. I mean, every division there was insane, but that one, there was no easy matches. So that is why JT was able to climb the ranks based on his performance and also the difficulty of that division. But we also have another lightweight guy there, number 5, Tanquinho, right? He, I think he burst onto the rankings, right? Because he hadn't been doing too much no-gi work.
Well, I think he's got some fight. He's definitely got some fight to win stuff. He's the fight to win champ, the no-gi champ. He just defended against Mateus Gabriel.
Right after ADCC.
Yeah, but he won a tough bracket there. He had a tough road. If you look at ADCC, I can't remember. Oh, his first match was Krikorian, right? He beat Krikorian pretty easy. His second match, he beat Mateus Gabriel. Very tough match for the quarterfinal. Then he beats Paulo Miao, and then in the final he beats Kennedy pretty handily, pretty decisively. So, I mean, you go through that bracket, and then he goes back the next week and defends his fight to win no-gi title against Mateus Gabriel. I mean, Tanquinho, 36 years old, he's on a tear in the no-gi scene right now. He's just, yeah.
Absolutely. You can't deny that. Number 4 here, we have kind of Duarte. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I just wanted to highlight a lighter weight guy as I'm perhaps biased as I fit in that category myself. But Kynan, as you mentioned earlier in the show, is the only athlete, I think, off the top of our heads here, in the top 5 from gi and no-gi.
Yeah, and he's got a very good case to be at the top of either one. I think there's just some losses that are holding him back. I mean,
where does that absolute submission loss, what does that do to him?
Yeah, that really messed things up there. It was, I mean, if you just did the weight classes, I mean, kind of beat Buchecha in his weight.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. He had a great run in his weight. He beat Yuri and Buchecha. He beat two-time ADCC champs in his weight. And then he goes out in the absolute, and he loses to a low-ranked 77 guy in Lachlan, which, I mean, obviously Lachlan tapped a bunch of good people. But, yeah, I think that hurts his case a little bit there. But I think Kynan, we know he's going to stay active. He does a bunch of stuff. He does fight to win. He does everything. I think we're going to see Kynan coming for that, challenging Gordon for the number 1 spot here and challenging for the number 1 spot in the gi.
I think I'd be remiss not to shout out Nick Rodriguez as the only colored belt on the top 10 here. Of course, he just got his purple belt after his silver medal performance at ADCC, one of the craziest things. And I'm very excited to say we have a feature coming out next week on him. It's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for more previews on that. But Nicky Rod's performance was one of a kind and definitely earned him a spot here in the top 10.
You look at who he beat. Ali, Orlando Sanchez, Ali, IBJJ Black Belt World Champion. Orlando Sanchez, ADCC Champion. Cyborg, ADCC Absolute Champion. I mean, he goes out and beats those three guys. I think the scary thing for him is you look at the top 10, and they're all guys who've been doing jiu-jitsu forever, been training, competing at this high level forever. The ceiling is pretty high for Nick. I mean, the sky's the limit for that guy because he's barely been training. He's got like less than a couple years of training. He's already up here competing with the best guys in the world. I could see him climbing up those ranks pretty quick.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a key guy to keep an eye on, unless he goes straight to Hollywood. You know, Nick's been getting a lot of attention. His resume has just been exploding, and he's been working hard. So I'm kind of hoping he stays with us. I don't know. He could go anywhere, really. But let's move on to the gi pound for pound just a little bit. We touched on it earlier with Marigali taking the number 1 spot. We have Buchecha at number 2. Lucas Lepree comes in at number 3. With Kynan and Mikey rounding out the top 5. Let's talk about that a little bit here. So Lucas Lepree, let's talk about why he made his way into number 3. Are you just biased towards 77 kilograms, Michael? Is that your spot?
Yeah, I mean, that's the weight class I always competed in. But Lepree, he took a loss to Levi this year, but then he can't. I mean, he has a big. If you're talking pound for pound, being a 77 kilogram, a lightweight guy who beat Kynan at Euros in the absolute, that goes to help him a lot. He wins. Lightweight at Worlds for, the 5th, 6th straight year.
I think unscored on again or something
crazy.
Yeah,
he's very dominant. His technique, I mean, besides that one Levi loss, he's looked untouchable at lightweight for years. And I think Kynan's got a very good case to be above him. I originally had Mikey ranked above Kynan, just going off of Mikey's undefeated run this year. And then some Talis and Suarez hit me up with an argument for Kynan. We went back and forth for a while, and I saw the light. But I think the tough thing with Kynan is he competes so much. Like, it's great, but then when I think, when you start thinking about losses, and I'm like, oh, he lost to Lepree, he lost to Chitor, this, but then you realize other guys don't compete like a fifth amount of time, so they're not putting themselves out there as much. So I don't think you can really punish Kynan for doing every tournament and taking a loss every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, his schedule was absolutely insane last year. He went from winning World Pro, and like 4 days later, he was on the mats in Brazil competing again and taking silver at Brasileiros, one of the toughest tournaments on the face of the planet.
No, he didn't. He didn't make the finals at Brasileiro. That was his one stumbling point.
Sorry.
I think he lost to Chitor in the quarterfinals of the weight.
Was it Absolute I'm thinking of?
Absolute. He lost to Marigali maybe in the semis. That was the big one where Marigali choked him.
Yeah, sorry. Even I get.
But yeah, he won Euros, won Pans, won the World Pro, won Worlds, passed Leandro Lo's guard. In the final. Yeah. So yeah, he's had a crazy year in the gi as well as no gi.
Yeah, Kynan is the future, I believe. He's untouchable, it seems, except for those rare instances we mentioned. So that puts him there at number 4. Rounding out the top 10, we have Paul Miao number 6, Felipe Pena 7, Gustavo Batista, Gabriel Arges, and Hulk coming in there at number 10. Yeah,
basically the only people who didn't win Worlds there are, well, I guess Paulo technically didn't. He closed out with his brother, but Paulo was pretty untouchable, light feather this year. Bergina took second to Bergisa, but just looked great at BJJ Stars. And Hulk, but this is the thing, Hulk was double gold at Pans, Bergini was double gold at Euros, so those count a lot for it too.
Absolutely. Let's look ahead a little bit now. Now we've kind of discussed the current state of the rankings, and guys, we cannot state enough that there are so many rankings. We didn't even really talk about what happened at Purple and Brown Belt yet, because that would take us.
Well, first we didn't get too much into why Marigali's number 1 over Buchecha.
Okay, we can go. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go back and check it out. We said earlier that Marigali's work rate was crazy and that he had taken out a lot of key names, but what stood out the most to you?
Well, they both have one loss this year. Buchecha lost to Joao Gabriel, a ref's decision at BJJ Stars. Marigali, everybody knows, lost to Keenan 2-0 at Worlds in the open class. Neither one was really a bad loss. I mean, the Keenan loss was like a 2-0 loss, but he had like 9 advantages or something. Like Nicholas didn't look bad there. And Buchecha Joao Gabriel was basically nothing happened. But, I mean, Buchecha's 5-1, Nicholas is 19-1. So he's competed 4 times as much. You look at Nicholas' ranked wins this year and how he beat him. He tapped Ali, the returning world champ. He tapped Kynan, the guy who's number 1 at heavyweight. He tapped Bergina, who won double gold at Euros. He who else did I leave? Oh, he tapped Felipe Andrew, who won Pans and Euros. He beat Hulk 9-0, mounted him, who won double gold at Pans. So these guys are some of the top ranked. They're all basically top 20 pound for pound. And Nicholas has tapped all of them except for Hulk, and Hulk he mounted and beat 9-0. And then, just that work rate, the amount of submissions, and I'm leaving out subs over guys like Panza, subs over guys like Tanner Rice. There's a bunch of other good guys he subbed. And I think something that hurts Buchecha is, everybody says he's the absolute world champion. Listen, that's not just winning that tournament. What's the point of having the rankings if just winning that tournament you're just pound for pound forever? You got to keep adjusting the ranks. You got to reward Nicholas for his method of victory, the subs, for the ranked wins, for the more activity. And, I think something that really hurts Buchecha there is the closeout in the World's Final in the Absolute. If he goes out and he beats Lo, I think he's got a much better case.
Interesting. Yeah, closeouts, of course, you just can't count him as much. And
yeah, it's not the same as like a closeout in a division. It's not the same as Nicholas going out and tapping Ali in the final. You got to be crazy to think that's the same thing.
But people are crazy.
Yeah,
I've had people. You've had this as well, where they'll say, some divisions there's a closeout even in the semifinal, and they want to call the bronze medalists, champions as well. And it's like that guy didn't even step on a mat.
We're definitely not having that here. We're not going to refer to you as a world champion if you close out in the semifinal.
I said it once before. My personal Instagram, actually, I put it out there that I won't call someone a champion if they took silver, technically, on a closeout, and that's just how I feel. You're not listed. You're not listed as a champ.
Yeah, it degrades the title, really. Then you got more world champs. I think it's something that's bad for the sport, and if you're talking rankings, I don't think you can count closing out a final the same as actually going out there and winning the match.
Don't get me wrong. I do understand that, the pain you might feel as an athlete taking on someone that is your close friend and training partner, but right now it's just part of the sport, and either you kind of push through that or you don't get quite the ranking push that you might like.
Yeah.
But good stuff there at the Marigali. Really, really highlights there how active he's been. I'm looking forward to him again, as I mentioned earlier, competing at Spider. And
that one's going to be crazy.
That's insane.
Because
right?
If you look at basically whoever comes out of there if him or Kynan comes out of there, they're number one pound for pound in the gi. Because you're probably going to have to beat each other and beat Rodolfo. And maybe Leandro Lo. You never know how the bracket works out. But those four are in there. Rodolfo is a big wild card. Rodolfo obviously not ranked because he hasn't competed in forever. He beat Ali in 2018.
His first gi tournament in like 4 years, right?
Yeah. Who knows where you put Rodolfo if he comes out of there. But if Kynan goes...
He's got to be number one. Depending if he meets Marigali, I guess. But
if Kynan goes there and wins a rubber match with Marigali and then beats Rodolfo, clear number one. So, that Spider 100-kilogram bracket's going to have a lot of implications here.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim Spriggs the other day in my series Chasing Greatness, where I talked to active competitors, champions, and, kind of what's going on in their lives. And he was saying that's how he's viewing Spider. He was saying, I'm so excited to compete at this event because if I win, I'm number one. And I can't argue with that.
You look at a guy like Spriggs could potentially have to fight all three of those. He might have to fight Kynan, Marigali, and Rodolfo to win the tournament. So
that's what he wants, by the way. He's saying he wants the toughest road, and he's looking forward to those kind of challenges. So I cannot wait for Spider. That's happening November 23rd in Seoul, Korea. I'll be on the ground there with our counterpart here, Ryan Smith, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for more coverage on that. We've already got a few articles on the site detailing who's in and the stakes at hand. There's $100,000 per division.
Yeah,
per division. That's got to be the biggest purse.
Biggest purse I've ever made, and maybe someone's privately paid more, but I've never heard of a public announced purse that's $100K. That's pretty crazy. Bringing out all the stars. Bringing Rodolfo out of retirement for that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. So.
A lot of love for your stash in the comments right now.
Yeah,
on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
One guy wants you to cut it, but everybody else is giving it love. But
that is pretty good. That's a good ratio. I appreciate that.
Shout out to Balea, Ricardo Amendolia's commenting on your stash on both YouTube and Facebook.
Ricardo is a super fan and one of the most important people here at FloGrappling. Good man there. So let's talk a little bit more upcoming events. We touched on Spider a bit there, but this weekend we have Tim Spriggs actually in action against none other than Herber Santos. That's the number 6 ranked guy versus Spriggs number 12. That's a wild matchup, huh?
Yeah, it's Herbert's another wild card here when you're talking about this stuff because he's only been competing down in Brazil. He had that big incident in BJ Stars where he attacked Felipe Pena's friends in the crowd or whatever.
Yep.
And it seems like, rightfully so, he's been basically blacklisted from a lot of big events after that. But, I think we're going to see more of him in 2020. He'll get back into things. But he's been beating a bunch of people down in Brazil. So it's hard to know where you rank him because, I mean, he's a world champ, but he's so inconsistent. Like, if you just look at Erberth, I mean, some of these losses he has. Brino Mascarenhas, you know who that is?
Can't say I do.
Verbal tap. He lost to this guy by verbal tap, so I don't know what happened there. Anton Manenko at the World Pro, that infamous one where he tapped the bottom of side control. I mean, but he's beat some really good guys over the year. I mean, he tapped Hudson with a toe hold at the King of Mats. He beat Jackson Souza a couple times there. He beat Evangelista. So he's got some great wins. He beat Gutenberg at Fight to Win, rest decision. But he's so inconsistent, you don't know where to rank him. He hasn't been doing the biggest tournaments. But, I mean, this will be a big one for either one. It'd be a huge one for Spriggs for sure if he pulls it off against the world champion. It'll be a nice one to show what Erberth's looking like against the top competition after such an inconsistent run.
Yeah, Spriggs is super excited. You know, he couldn't wait to take this match. They're actually ex-teammates. Erberth spent some time at TLI. I don't know how much time, and that was a few years ago, but Tim pointed it out that they kind of know each other's games a little bit.
Yeah, when he was a brown belt. I think he won the absolute at brown belt while he was at TLI. So, yeah.
So that's going to be a great matchup. Definitely nonstop action knowing both of those guys. But Erberth's mentality is a big question here, right? You know, you never really know which Erberth is going to show up, as we like to put it. Either he could be on fire or who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
something wild.
I made the article the other day about his biggest wins. He's beat in the gi Andre Galvao, Hamilo Bahal.
He's a world champion.
Felipe Pena, Bernardo Faria, and Muhammad Ali. Five black belt world champions that I mentioned in the article that he's beat. So when he's on, he's on, and he'll jump to the mount. He'll do that. He'll get the cross collar and just bounce your head off the mat.
Yeah. Tim does the same thing though. That's why I like this
That's why
match.
I'm wondering what's going to go on. If they're both going to take the cross collar and the sleeve grip and just
huck each other around a little bit.
See who's stronger. See who's got better technique there. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It should be a good one too. Those guys both bring it. I think we're going to see some good takedowns there. And very excited for that one. Me and you will actually both be there.
That's right. We're both going to be on the ground in Denver. It looks very cold and snowing, and I don't own any snow gear, so we're going to have to figure that one out. But that's not the only ranked match on the card there. We also have Manuel Hibamar taking on Mauricio Oliveira. Mauricio burst back on the competition scene last weekend at Fight to Win with a win over Matt Layton. And looked very, very dominant there. This is a great matchup, right?
Yeah, Mauricio, I mean, Hibamar's ranked number 3. Hibamar had some big wins at the LA Grand Slam. Hibamar beat Izaki, beat, I believe, Tinoco. He beat, let me check Hibamar real quick. Hibamar this year, 19-5 in the gi. He beat Tinoco, and he beat Izaki. He beat Ronaldo Jr. He beat all those guys at the LA Grand Slam. That's three big wins. And Mauricio is somebody I'm really high on Mauricio. Mauricio's number 7 currently, but I could see him winning Worlds this year at black belt. He was a stud at the color belts. Blue, purple, brown, 3 years in a row, won it easy, and won some of the toughest brackets at his division every year.
Yeah, let's pause there for a moment and let that sink in for you guys out there. He won every belt in consecutive years. That's like the biggest argument against sandbagging there is.
I think he won blue belt at 18, purple belt at 19, brown belt at 20, and I think he's like 22 now. Took a year off.
Yeah, he took a year off, and he's back. So we're all very excited.
He had some tough roads. When he was a purple belt, I remember he had, I think, 1 year beat Levi and Mateus Lutz before he even made it to the semifinals.
It's wild.
And then I think beat Jake Watson and then tapped Alex Muniz in the final. Like, what kind of purple belt bracket is that? Blue belt, the first time I found out on blue belt, he beat Andrew Wiltse, the returning world champ, in the first round, and then I think he beat Connor DeAngelis the next round. So he had some tough, and then brown belt, he beat Don Bell a couple times. So he had some tough brackets, and he was running through these things. I'm really high on Mauricio. Great guard passer. Passed Matt Layton's guard in like under 30 seconds last week. And I think this is going to be a matchup. I mean, Hibamar's got one of the best guards in the game.
Yeah, he's also really adopted a lot of that lapel stuff.
Yeah.
He's really great at the worm guard. Had that crazy submission over Calisans, right, a couple months back.
Tapped Calisans with the arm lock at Pans.
Yeah,
he was losing under a minute. Hit that Hail Mary arm lock on Calisans. And, Hibamar's had some big wins. I think Hibamar pulls. We're going to see Hibamar pulling versus Mauricio trying to pass.
It's going to be a fun match.
It's going to be a fun match. I hate to say it. Hibamar's got such a great guard, but I'm a big believer in Mauricio. I wouldn't be surprised if Mauricio can get the pass here. But, I mean, this is fight to win rules, so you got to attempt submissions.
That's true. And Hibamar's a regular at Fight to Win. He's been on a few times. Also, shout out to Hibamar. Him and Nachielli just opened up a school, I believe, down there.
San Antonio?
In San Antonio, Texas, not too far from us here in Austin. So good luck on your new venture, guys, and always excited to see people doing new things. Michael Liera is also joining us at Fight to Win. We have John Combs on the card. It's going to be a lot of fun. Seth from Fight to Win always pulls out all the stops for Denver. It's their hometown, and so we can't wait to go out there. We're going to be flying out Friday. We see some coverage from the weigh-ins, and all the updates, all the news will be there. But that's not the only tournament this weekend.
Quick, this guy's asked twice, who do we take, Ryan Hall or Gordon Ryan? I think Gordon Ryan's a easy choice there.
Yeah, that's a tough challenge there for Ryan.
Gordon Ryan's like 60 pounds heavier than him at least.
What do you think about this Lachlan Giles, Gordon Ryan feud that we've been seeing online here? It's kind of a similar size disparity. Lachlan seems to be having some fun with it. Gordon not enjoying it as much. He's a little angrier.
I don't know. Lachlan knows he doesn't. What they're trying to do, like a leg locks only match or something weird?
Something like that. $500,000 Monopoly money's on the line.
I think it was $500,000 of Gordon's versus $5,000 of Lachlan's. Yeah, Gordon's pretty confident there.
It's a good deal for Lachlan, though. I'd still try it. Why not? But I think Gordon's pretty damn good and much bigger. So, but you never really know. Let's see. What else we got going on this weekend, Michael? We have the AGP Tour returns. We mentioned a little earlier. That's the Grand Slam Series. That's down in Rio. A little sad. It's my first time not going to that in 2 years. I miss Brazil. But even if I'm not there, the show must go on, and the division's looking really good, especially at the color belt levels. Yeah,
you got at blue belt, you got some number ones at adult. You got Joao Ribeiro, number one at light feather, and Luca Ramachi, number one at light. But the big star at blue belt is juvenile Michael Galvao. The next big thing coming out of Brazil, out of Dream Art Manaus. I think 106 straight wins, 103 by submission. So I think he'll be a big favorite there at juvenile.
You guys hear that? 106 straight wins with 103 submissions. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah, he's a stud. We've already got. Whenever we make a date for for the Who's Number One event, you can bet Michael Galvao is going to be on there. He's the biggest name juvenile out there. Purple belt, you got Nathan Fernandez at Rooster. He's a killer. He's a guy. His problem is he doesn't have a visa. He's won everything outside of the United States the last couple of years. Another Dream Art guy. Anderson Diaz, number one at middle. Marcos Carozino, number one at super heavy. Marcos took second at basically everything to Anderson Muniz last year. Mm-hmm. Anderson Muniz moved up. Brown belt, you got Fabricio Andres.
I'm excited to see Fabricio back.
Fabricio Andres, he's back down at the weight he should be. He did LA Grand Slam at like 77 for some reason. He's back down at 62. And, he's another guy. He's just like Mauricio or kind, and he won blue and purple back-to-back years, and now he's at brown belt. He's probably young. I imagine he's probably 19, 20 years old.
I think it was just his birthday, actually. I think I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, he can't be too old. But
there Benz, my friend.
Yeah, another savage out of Manaus, Fabricio Andres. And then you go to another guy from Manaus. Number one at brown belt, Diego Sadre, Alex Sadre's little brother, who beat Mayram in the World Final last year. And he's got a tough matchup, though. This guy, Luis Paulo Carneiro Medeiros from Dream Art, he won Brasileiro up at lightweight last year. Looks like with the day before weighing, he's cutting down. He's going to go against Sadre here, so that'll be a good matchup for him.
You spent some time at, not to derail this too much, but at Dream Art, they're responsible kind of for this new surge of Alliance athletes that have been taking over some of the color belt rankings.
Yeah, they scored like 42 points, maybe more at Worlds. It's I went there a couple times when I was living in Brazil. It's it's just a project sort of headed by Izaki and funded by some other people that's got ridiculous amount of number ones. And they got number one. They got Michael Galvao, we just talked about, Anderson Diaz, Lucas Gualberto, the Muniz brothers. They got a whole bunch of number ones.
And it's not just a gym or a team, right? It's kind of a holistic program where these kids they're also getting an education. They're getting physical therapy.
They get physical therapy. They get college paid for. They get English classes. It's incredible the investment that they're making in these kids down there. And it's not just about jiu-jitsu. They're making an investment in trying to get them, sending them to college, teaching them English, all this other stuff. So it's pretty incredible.
That's great. And it's also, great that it's paying off in competition results. So it's a win-win for those kids down there.
So then we go to 77 is crazy down there. You got Lucas Protazio. I believe one world at purple belt. You got Victor Nachal from Feijões, a stud. You got Alex Muniz, Brasileiro champ at brown belt last year. Andy Murasaki. Mm-hmm. He's always on the podium at all the big events. Gabriel Costas, another guy with no visa who won Brasileiro at purple last year. So you got those 1, 2, 3, 5 guys in that bracket. It's going to be crazy. 85, it gets a little nuts. You got Lucas Gualberto, who's number one at middleweight. This is where it gets weird with these, because now we're at AGP where they got different weight classes.
Right,
so you're seeing guys, make it tricky. You're seeing in the day before weigh-ins too. So you're seeing guys cut down a bunch, or guys who are in between there. So you got right now you got Lucas Gualberto's number one at middle. He's going to be fighting Conor D'Angelis, who's ranked at medium heavyweight, and that's a crazy matchup right there. Those are two really good brown belts, Lucas Gilberto and Connor D'Angelis. Remember, Lucas beat Jonatas Gracie at, I believe.
That's right. I'm looking forward to seeing Connor. Is it his debut at brown belt?
No. He had that super fight against Rada in.
That's right, in Korea.
Yeah.
They came. I just kind of looked at my Instagram, like, oh, he had a super fight.
He might have done some other stuff. Yeah.
But his first maybe major tournament, and looking forward to seeing how he's doing down there in Brazil. That's a big one for him.
94, you got the pound for pound number one at brown belt, Eric Muniz at 94 kilograms, the guy who did double Grand Slam at purple last year. Great worm guard, total stud. 120 is going to be crazy. You got his brother Anderson Muniz, who closed out the. We're going to talk a little bit more about Anderson later, but the guy who closed out the absolute final with Eric is in there with number 1 and 2, both from GF team at ultra heavy. So normally another situation where they're normally different weight classes. You're going to see Anderson going up against Wallace Costa and Pedro Pimenta, big dudes. Be interesting to see how he deals with the size. But I mean, Anderson's a pretty big dude though too.
Yeah, Anderson's huge.
Yeah.
Those
like 6'5", 220. These guys are probably closer to like 260, 270 or something though.
Muniz brothers are always fun to watch. All three of them there we mentioned. Moving on now to the brown and black belt divisions. The women's groups look stacked actually, and at AGP, as I'm sure many of you guys know out there, they combine brown and black belt women's divisions to help fill those brackets out a little bit. And there's some fun potential matchups. We have Maisa Bastos in play with Brenda Heller. Amal is also in at this tournament. What else is going on there?
Well, this gets crazy for the rankings with the women's brown and black, right? Because with the brown belt girls, what do? If they win, great. Or even if they look good, great. Like if you go out there and you look good against Luisa Montero as a brown belt, great. You might even go up for that. But if you lose, you can't do anything to them, really. I mean, they're fighting the best black bib, Basilio, Luisa Montero, Maisa. But something that happened recently, we're going to see a rematch of at 49. The number 1 roosterweight brown belt girl, Brenda Larissa, beat the reigning black belt world champion Maisa Bastos at a recent AJP, and they're both in 49 kilograms here. And another interesting one, you got Gabby Pisagna, first year black belt. She's beaten Accielli a couple times when she was a brown belt in these events, but she'll probably have a rematch here with Yara Soares from TLI, from Team Lloyd Irvin and Gigo, the girl who choked her in the World Absolute Final last year.
Maybe the first time Gabby's lost in years.
First time I've seen her lose, sure. Yeah.
Yara's a killer. I had a lot of fun watching her at all the tournaments. She got promoted mid-season, which was kind of crazy, right? She went from purple.
I believe she did Euros at purple belt.
Yeah, she did. So that's an unusual fact there, but happy to see her at the highest level now at AGP.
Quick rundown of the black belt division. You got Bebeto Oliveira at 56. You got Gabriel Souza's got to beat an army of Cicero Costa people at 62. Isaac Doderline's doing 69. Brasileiro champ Igor Rodriguez at 77. There's a bunch of people in these brackets, just to rank guys. The big one is 94 is crazy. Fernando Hayes, number 6. Adam Wardzinski, number 7. Patrick Gaudio, number 8. Jackson Sousa, number 11, all in that bracket.
Yeah, it seems like, maybe I'll miss a name or two here, but less international competitors than past years. We have Adam Wardzinski and Isaac Doderline as the two key non-Brazilian athletes down there.
And Amal for the girls, yeah.
And Amal, yeah. Amal's from Belgium, I
think the big story down there, though, is the title fights in the Queen of Mats, though, right?
Yes, go on. So AJP, the King of Mats format is finally coming into play here. So when someone wins the King of Mats tournament, they've had light, heavy, middle, and heavyweight, I believe. They are the king of the mat, and then they've ran that for 2 consecutive seasons. Now they have 2 champions where they're going to solidify the title. I believe that's how it's playing out. So we have number 7 ranked Sajorio is taking on Isaac Doderline, Charles Negromonte is taking on Zaki Bahayens, and Joao Gabriel Souza is taking on Jackson Souza. All of those matches have some ranking implications there.
Dude, Isaac Doderline, this year, just in a gi, 29-6, 35 matches in a gi. I mean, he's beat a lot of good guys. I mean, he lost 4 times to Paulo. He obviously avenged that win to Paulo.
But he got that big win.
Got the big win against Brasileiro. Against him at the Brasileiro. Got a lot of ranked wins here. I think I'm going to have to favor him to take out Sagioro. Sagioro hasn't been as active. He basically only did Worlds this year and a couple other things. And then I think Izaki, big I'm going to say big favorite over Negromonte, but Negromonte's good under these rules. He's one of these guys, one of these like Diego Ramayo type of guys who I think does better under AGP rules. But I'd have to favor Izaki big time there. And then that's a tough matchup for Jackson.
Yeah. Joao Gabriel Rocha is a little bit bigger than Jackson.
Jackson had a rough time with Brigina at PGA Stars.
Right,
Brigina beat him, I think, 15-0, mounted him twice.
maybe home field advantage is playing for Jackson. I know he's been down in Brazil, hanging out in Cantagalo for maybe a couple of weeks now. Who knows how that'll play into it? But I'm looking forward to seeing that match. That's a great one there. They also have the very first, let's not forget, Queen of Mats going down this weekend. So AJP is unfolding their women's version of the King of Mats, and that's a great tournament down there. We have Maisa Bastos, Bianca Basilio, Ana Rodriguez, Amal, Luisa Montero, and Talita is down there.
So the first group is Maisa, Basilio, and Ana Rodriguez. Maisa and Basilio are both number ones. Ana's number two. They're all different weight classes. Do you think Maisa's got the size to handle Basilio?
It's going to be hard, and I don't know how she does it, but Maisa is very, very talented. So
I mean, Karen Antunes could not pass her guard at Fight to Win
exactly.
when they were fighting. And Karen Antunes is, I believe, around the size of Basilio, but yeah,
she submitted Basilio at one point. Karen Antunes did.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup for her. Ana Rodriguez is tough though too. Ana Rodriguez just beat. She had a couple big wins at AJP event. I know she beat Amanda Montero, I believe, and maybe Amal, somebody like that. Maybe Amal. Actually.
She did beat Amal. A year ago, actually. I was there.
Maybe she's beat Amal twice. Yeah. She had two good wins. So yeah, Anna's a first-year black belt, one brown belt last year. The other side, I think you got Amal and Toledo, but Louisa should be a lot bigger than them. I'd have to favor Louisa there.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing the Queen of Mats unfold, and shout out to the AJP for promoting equality and pushing things forward in the sport. One more event happening this weekend that we got to take note of is the IBJJF Long Beach Open is happening, and that is actually being streamed live on FloGrappling, and Hal Teague, our correspondent, will be out there on the ground giving you all the updates. Some fun purple belt divisions are unfolding, as well as a couple key black belt names there.
Yeah, there's a few good. I mean, you got number one roosterweight Kevin Carrasco is fighting at light feather. You got this guy, Rafael Silveira from Atos, who's number two at lightweight, but he was a blue belt world champ, I believe, last year. But I think the big purple belt matchup that I'm looking forward to there is Jansen Gomez and Mateus Rodriguez out of AOJ. You remember, Jansen usually fights Tynan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's a great one.
Yeah, so you got Jansen's number two right now at purple middle, even though he's a reigning world champ. He lost to Anderson Diaz at the LA Grand Slam. But he's going to go up in weight to medium heavy this time, and he's going to fight Mateus Rodriguez. But I don't think going up in weight is going to be a problem for Jansen. Man, I was watching him at Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Open. He was fighting the Open Class against Javier Zaruski. Javier is a big dude, very good super heavyweight. And at least once, maybe twice, Javier swept him or took him down, put Jansen flat on his back, and I don't know, Jansen just turned into like a superhero and just stands right back up, like against a guy 30, 40 pounds heavier than him from straight off his back.
The Derek Lewis method there, stand up.
Yeah, it was like Javier just couldn't hold him down. But that's a great matchup, and I think there's a little bit of a rivalry there probably because so many times Jansen's fought Tynan now, and I remember he beat him in the world final. Tynan got injured in that one.
That's right.
And another one to watch. She's a little gangster, Jessica Khan.
Savage.
Yeah, total savage. Number one, weight and pound for pound at Rooster and pound for pound at purple belt female, and yeah, she's incredible. She just stomps girls.
I like her a lot because she does the absolute too. She did absolute at Worlds, and she's the smallest weight category. It's always amazing to see athletes challenge themselves like that.
Yeah, she's one of these people who gets stuck and like she can't be promoted yet. She won everything at purple belt, but just by IBJJF time limit, she can't go up to brown belt yet. So here she is. Sucks for the girls who are at purple belt rooster weight.
One more tough year for them.
I think Jessa should be a heavy favorite there. Also, the girl who won blue belt, her teammate from AOJ won blue belt open class at Worlds. Yasmin Caceres there. Brown belt, you got Roberto Jimenez. Black belt, you got a few ranked people. Israel Souza at feather. I think Ronaldo Jr. is going back down to middleweight is something that I'm looking forward to. He did medium heavyweight a bunch last year. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I thought he was going to be too big to go back to middleweight. Maybe it's just because Atos has already got so many good medium heavies. I don't know.
That is a challenge they have there, right? The roster is packed, and you got to kind of, even if you're Ronaldo Jr. in your spot, which is a terrifying thought.
But I mean, Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo at middleweight, I could see doing a lot of damage this year. I think him and Mauricio are both two people to watch at middleweight. And
Mauricio Oliveira.
Yeah. I think you got Orlando. I think when it comes down to the open class, I think it's going to be Orlando Montero, who's at medium heavy, competing with Ronaldo Jr. probably.
Yeah, couple key women's names too. We have Karen Antunes, but she's also on, I think, Fight to Win this weekend, so we'll see if that works out.
Yeah, we don't know.
They're technically on different days, so maybe she'll pull it off.
2 days in a row. I don't know. I think she's a black belt world champ, so she can just sign up for free though. So maybe she just
got it.
Let me check and see if any other big name black belts jumped in last. Oh, you got Gabriel Almeida's in there. Rafael Vasconcelos. Jake Watson's in the same bracket as Orlando at medium heavy.
That's a fun matchup. In any case, we'll be sure to update you guys right before the event pops off. Maybe some names will slide in there. And again, stay tuned for on-the-ground coverage as Hal will be out there on the ground. We're coming to the very end.
That's just Sunday, right? Streaming on Sunday.
Just on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a one-day event, so stay tuned for that. We're going to cap the show now with Prospect Watch. So we talked about him earlier. Anderson Muniz is someone that we think is going to do big things this year. He's president Spider, and we got a cool little video here that shows some highlights of Anderson, right? And that'll be the way we cap the show each week, I think, is we're going to talk about someone that is making some movements in the rankings and someone we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, this guy, he's a purple belt, but I mean, he already beat some big name black belts. He's a brown belt now. When he was a purple belt, he beat some big name black belts as Spider, so we know he can do it, and it'll be interesting. But this bracket's a little bit tougher than that one, so.
Absolutely. Let's run that clip if we have it back there, and you can see some of Anderson's moves here. This is Spider, and Spider is one of the greatest looking tournaments I've ever been to. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Here's versus Mateus. Anderson's got a great lasso guard, which is it's got to be frustrating. He's so huge. He's like 6'5", 220, right? And there he gets that little ankle pick against Mateus. I think he beat him by 2 here. But you'll see a lot. He gets the lasso. He just tilts people to the left. This was the advantage that won it for him. Chalking up a triangle at the end. This is his marquee win at purple belt last year. Beat Conor D'Angelis in the world semifinal before he closed out with his brother.
Yeah, he's got great passing as well as a guard game. He's truly a tough guy.
Look at this. Look at the way he tilts him from the over-under. You'll see him do this to Roberto later, too.
Amazing.
He's got him in over-under. He just grabs the pants and the sleeve and just tilts him over.
Yeah,
he's always tilting people to the left.
Big guys with agile guards are probably the most terrifying.
Yeah, this guy's 6'5", 220. He posted, there's a tilt. Posted a video not long ago of him just like doing a backflip off a wall at 6'5". Right here, look. Roberto working the over-under up. Just knock you over this way. These are all, really tough competitors, too.
Yeah, so Anderson will be back at Spider in a couple weeks here.
Definitely
has an uphill road.
Yeah, be interesting to see who he gets. Look, right here. Lasso. Take him over to the left. His guard has looked unpassable so far in his career, but he hasn't had to go against Adolfo Vieira or Nicholas Marigali or Kynan. Any of those guys are going to be tough. This is the world final versus that guy, Carolzinho, who's currently number 1 still. Till finishes with a single leg.
Man, he's something else. He's really, really talented. I'm looking forward to making waves.
That lasso guard, we're going to see. His guard, like I said, his guard's looked untouchable so far in his career. But, he's going to have to keep Adolfo Vieira from passing his guard now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a bit of a challenge.
Imagine if this guy goes out and wins Spider. What happens then?
I don't know. The rankings are out the window then, apparently. Well, guys, I think that will cap our very first episode of Who's Number One. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know in the comments there what you thought of it and what you want to see. Stay tuned as we'll be back next Wednesday at 10 a.m. That's CST. With more updates, news, and analysis. Thank you for joining us, Michael and Chase from FloGrappling, and we'll see you on the next one.